For this video lesson, I'm going to be talking about the Habits of Mind lesson, and this lesson plan is really a beginning and an introduction into what habits of mind are, and really talking about and analyzing how to use them and how they would apply to your everyday life. The objective is students will learn and discuss the 16 habits of mind through class discussions. We'll watch a few videos and other means, and eventually that they will create a one-pager to talk about habits of mind, how habits of mind apply to them. The standards, I always like to incorporate lots of standards into what I'm doing, and this is really a big, huge, comprehensive lesson that will be multiple days, so it has multiple standards. Students will have to really think about main ideas and how they relate to the habits of mind. They're going to have to talk about relationships and interactions between habits of mind and how they play out with individuals or events or ideas. They're really going to have to focus on domain-specific words and how they relate to habits of mind, multiple print and digital sources, and then they really have to integrate all that information and apply it to themselves. Throughout the process, they'll also have some speech and language standards through discussion and the collaborations that they'll be having with their classmates. And as always, college and career readiness really are focused for getting our kids ready for the future. And these are the 5 standards that I really think apply most heavily to this lesson plan. Assessment in this lesson plan is really going to focus on observation, that formative assessment, meetings with students to either help, support, or extend. Their one-pager is going to be the big assessment, and along with a give one, get one, and a reflection sheet on the process. Some of the strategies that will be utilized are GLAD, pictorial input charts, videos, head-together discussions. They'll have some support with level proficiency frames. Teach okay to prompt for discussion, think, pair, shares, give one, get one, and one-pagers are the big ones. As far as what you'll need for this lesson is chart paper for the pictorial input charts, videos and posters to help students understand and to teach them about the habits of mind. One of the big activities that we will be using to learn about habits of mind is a board game. So you're going to need supplies to be able to play that board game. Part 1 of the lesson plan is to introduce habits of mind and how they relate to growth mindset. I'm really big on growth mindset in my classroom, and I really like to promote productive struggle and how that really is the focus for learning. This overview right here in this video is a song, and it kind of gets kids ready for the habits of mind and gets them excited. Then I recommend starting with the 16 habits and teaching 1 to 3 habits a day, depending on how much your kids can handle. I think any more than that, you're pushing it, and you're not really going to get the focus that you want. For each of the habits of mind, you kind of follow this pattern of how to do it on chart paper, pictorial input charts. You're going to be drawing that habit of mind. You're going to give a short verbal and written explanation. Students are going to review and teach about the habit, and then they will give an example, or you will give an example, and then you repeat the process for each habit. Part 2, after students have learned about the habits of mind, they're going to play the Habit of Mind board game that I created. So to set up, you're going to follow these directions. I said 3 to 4 players in a group because you really want players to be engaged, and I find that any more than 4 is cause for students to get off task. So I really prefer 3, but some groups will have 4. You pass out the materials in the direction sheet for each group. They will also have a little handout on what the habits of mind are, just as a quick reference. They'll also be able to reference the pictorial input charts that are hanging in the room. You explain how to play the game really quickly, and then you let them play to 15 to 20 minutes, and you can kind of judge on whether or not they need to be cut off sooner or later, depending on the engagement of the groups. The Habits of Mind board game starts with this front page, which is the directions on how to play, and then also goes into what each card means. Really, all you need to play is the game board, some dice, playing cards. There are 4 different types of cards, so you'll need 4 different colors, and then you'll need pawns for each of your players. Basically, players start their pawn on the start. They roll to see who goes first, and then the color of the square that they land on in their board is the color of card that they pull and answer. The player to the right is the one who will draw and read the card to the person playing, because the answers are located on the card for most of the situations. If you get the answer correct, you roll the die and you move ahead. If you don't, then you have to wait and play that same colored card again. If you land on a square with special instructions, and you have to follow them, like move ahead, go again, go back, things like that. The 4 different colors of cards are green, blue, red, and yellow. The green cards are answering the question, what habit of mind would this strategy work for? So students will get a strategy, and they have to identify which habit of mind that strategy is talking about. These are 4 examples of what a green card might look like. The strategy would be finding multiple ways to solve a problem, and that strategy might be working for persisting. So the student would have to say which habit of mind that strategy works for, and then explain why. And I also put in the directions, if a student has a reasonable explanation why they think that strategy or answer would fit for a different habit of mind other than the one indicated, the group can really think about it and decide on whether or not that they want to accept that answer. The next type of cards are the blue cards, which are name and explain that quote. So what students will get is a quote, and then they have to identify which habit of mind that it describes. Here are 4 different options for that one. So this quote, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. So students have to think about that quote and really think about which habit of mind does that quote relate to. And this card is relating to creating, imagining, and innovating. But like I said before, if students can justify a different habit of mind and the group accepts it, they can also still score points for that. The next is a red card, which is act or draw it out. Students get a situation or one of the habits of mind, and they either have to act it out or draw a picture. They get to choose which medium or which presentation that they would like to do for that card. So here is an example of 4 cards for the act or draw it out. Here they can either act out a scenario showing or draw a sketch illustrating the questioning and posing problems habit of mind. And then the other students would guess, and how the points would work is the person who guessed and the person acting or drawing out would get to roll in that instance. The last type of card is the yellow card, which is which habit of mind did they use. So you will be given a certain situation, and you have to identify which habit of mind the person in that situation used to help solve the problem. These are 4 different scenarios that are on those cards. So for example, this one is Eduardo loved basketball and practiced at the park every day. He really wanted to try out for the team but was nervous. He decided to go for it because he would never know if he didn't try. So students would analyze Eduardo's situation and really think about which habit of mind did he use in this situation, and here it would be taking responsible risks. But again, like in other cards, if a student can justify their answer for another habit of mind, the group gets to decide whether or not they will accept that answer. This is the board game that students will be using. They start here and they travel through the different color squares matching the color or card that they would draw. The first person to reach the finish and answer that question correctly would be the winner. After the board game, part 3 of this lesson is the assessment part, the 1-pager, where students will be able to show what they have learned about habits of mind. What they will be required to do is create a border on their 1-pager, and then within the center of their paper, they're going to reference at least 4 habits of mind. They can always do more, but I wanted to set a minimum amount. They can either go into further detail on those 4, or they can kind of do an overview of multiple ones. They have to include both information and analysis, meaning how it would relate to their lives or other people's lives. They can use words or sketches. What I love about the one-pager is that it's very open-ended and students can be very creative in what they do. After they have completed their one-pager, it will be a give one, get one activity, because I love for students to be able to share their work. Not only does it promote academic speaking and sharing their knowledge, but other people also get to learn from what they've done. So they will receive a give one, get one page. And what students have to do is share and explain their one-pagers with at least 3 people. And on their give one, get one reflection sheet, they're going to record what they think is the most important thing that their partner told them, said, or they learned about the habits of mind. And then finally, after the give one, get one is done, students are going to write a final reflection on the habits of mind and how it can relate to their life or how they're going to use it in the classroom this year. Some options or different ways that you can do this lesson is you can do a processing grid of the different habits of mind. Instead of doing little pictorial input charts, you can really break it down and have them all on one page in a processing grid. You can also have groups research each habit of mind and then present and teach the other students about that. Some extensions for TAG or gifted students is that they could create their own situations to add to the habits of mind game, or quotes that they could also add in and just keep continuing to add to the game and make it richer. They can also teach about habits of mind to another class in the school, and they could create handouts, PowerPoints, anything else explaining the habits of mind. For accommodations, students on IEPs, you could have modified requirements for the one-pager. You could have them participating in more group work and then constant check-ins. Same thing with ELs. Brainstorming is a huge one to help them support their thinking and be able to use those academic words correctly. You can have proficiency-based language support and then one-pager support. You really don't want to, unless they are also on an IEP, you don't want to limit or modify what they need on their one-pager, but you can help them and support them and scaffold to get them to where they need to be.